The last bus on Route 17. It's the last train home. The station was silent, the kind of silence that feels heavy in your ears. The ticket counter was closed, the vending machines were turned off, and the only light in the entire place was a flickering bulb above the entrance. I checked my phone. 11:48 p.m. My heart sank. No trains, no taxis, no rides available. For a moment, I just stood there, feeling that familiar frustration, the kind you get when the whole world seems to stop moving except you. Then I saw the bus stop across the street. A rusty metal sign leaned slightly to the side. The paint was peeling, but I could still read the words. Route 17, last bus, 12 a.m. I frowned. I had lived in the city for 3 years, and I had never heard of Route 17. But right then, I didn't care. I just wanted to get home. The air felt strangely cold as I crossed the road. A light wind brushed against my face, carrying that damp smell of asphalt after rain. 3 people were already waiting. An old woman sat quietly at the far end of the bench. Her hands trembled slightly as she held a small cloth bag in her lap. A tall man in a black coat stood beside the pole, completely still, like a statue. And a teenage boy leaned against the railing, scrolling through his phone with tired eyes. None of them spoke, not even when the bus arrived. It appeared slowly out of the darkness. At first, I only saw the headlights, dull yellow circles cutting through the fog. Then the shape of the bus emerged, old, rusted, faded paint barely clinging to the metal. The number 17 was scratched onto the front. The doors opened with a long, painful creak. The driver didn't greet us. He didn't even look at us. He just stared forward into the road, like we didn't exist. Something about that made my chest tighten. Still, we all stepped inside. The smell hit me immediately. Damp metal, dust, and something else I couldn't quite place. Something old, like a room that hadn't been opened in years. I sat in the middle of the bus. The teenage boy sat across from me. The tall man stayed near the door, and the old woman slowly walked to the very back. The bus started moving. At first, everything seemed normal. Streetlights passed by the windows, buildings faded into darkness. But after about 10 minutes, a strange feeling started creeping into my mind. Something wasn't right. We hadn't stopped once. Not a single red light, not a single car. The road outside was completely empty. I looked up at the route map above the driver. My heart skipped. It was blank. No stations, no stops, just a faded sheet of plastic. The boy suddenly looked up from his phone. "Hey, excuse me," he said nervously. No one answered. He glanced around again. "Does anyone know where this bus goes?" The tall man slowly turned his head. His eyes looked tired, almost sad. "You shouldn't ask that," he said quietly. The boy blinked in confusion. "Why not?" The man didn't answer. He just turned back toward the window. The silence inside the bus became heavier. Minutes passed. Then suddenly, the old woman started laughing. Soft at first, then louder. Her laugh echoed through the empty bus, dry and broken. The sound made the hairs on my arm stand up. The boy looked terrified. "Why is she laughing?" he whispered. Before anyone could answer, the old woman spoke. "You're new," she said. Her voice sounded fragile, like it had traveled a long distance. The boy nodded slowly. "Yeah." She laughed again. Everyone here was new once. A cold chill ran down my spine. The bus suddenly hit a bump. The lights flickered. For just a second, everything looked different. The seats were ripped open. The windows cracked. Dark stains covered the floor. Then the lights came back. Everything looked normal again. My heart was racing now. I stood up and walked toward the driver. "Excuse me," I said nervously. Where does this bus stop? No response. I leaned closer, and that's when I noticed something that made my blood freeze. The mirror above the driver reflected the entire bus behind me, the seats, the passengers, even my own face. But the driver was missing. My chest tightened with fear. The bus was moving, but there was no driver. I stepped back slowly. The tall man grabbed my arm gently. "You saw it," he whispered. My voice trembled. "There's no driver." He nodded. "Of course there isn't." The boy overheard us. "What do you mean there's no driver?" The tall man looked at him with a strange sadness. "Because this bus already crashed." The words felt heavy in the air. "What?" said the boy. 10 years ago, the tall man continued quietly. Route 17, midnight service, brake failure on the old bridge. My heart started pounding. "That's impossible," I said. "We're here. We're riding it." The old woman spoke from the back. "Yes," she said softly. "You are." The lights flickered again, this time longer, and when they came back, the bus looked worse. Rust everywhere, broken glass, burn marks across the ceiling. Outside the windows, there was no road, just darkness. The boy ran to the door, panic filling his voice. "I want to get off." He pushed the door again and again. It didn't move. The tall man sighed quietly. "No one gets off early." The boy turned toward him with tears in his eyes. "What happens when the bus stops?" The old woman answered calmly. "Then we arrive." "Where arrive?" I asked. But deep down, I already knew. The bus began slowing. Outside the window, faint lights appeared. Police cars, ambulances, a broken bridge. The bus stopped. The doors opened. Cold air rushed inside. The tall man stepped off first, then the old woman, then the boy. Before leaving, the boy looked back at me. "Are you coming?" My legs felt frozen. I'm not supposed to be here," I whispered. The old woman smiled sadly. "Everyone says that." The tall man looked at me one last time. "If you stay on the bus," his voice dropped, "you'll ride forever." The doors began to close. My heart exploded with panic. I ran. I jumped off the bus just before the door shut. The moment my feet hit the ground, everything vanished. The bus, the people, the bridge, gone. I was standing alone near the station road. My phone buzzed. 12:01 p.m. A police car passed slowly. The officer rolled down his window. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." I hesitated. "Officer, does this city have a bus route called Route 17? His face turned